as teenagers, we need to be mindful that our grades, what we perform in school, is not our identity. Yes, we do work hard to get good grades. We do work hard to get outstanding results, to get achievements. All those things are good and they're very desirable. But when you start putting that as your identity, that's the only thing you think that gives you worth, that's when an issue comes. That's where we see a real problem in the identity of a youth, and in this case, as a Christian. Hi everyone, hope you all are doing well, staying safe and healthy during this time. In the month of September, and when September comes, 2 new videos, part 1 and part 2. We will be looking at academic success and what that means for the everyday Christian when it comes to school, university, college, and different aspects in their lives. So in today's part 1 video, I'll be sharing with you guys 7 tips on how you can succeed academically at school. So tip number 1 is going to be consistent. So you need to be consistent when it comes to studying, the routine that you create for yourself. So if you tell yourself, you know what, I'm gonna be consistent in studying math every day for 30 minutes, stick to it. Because the consistency creates a habitual feeling, it trains your mind and allows you to know that you're looking forward to that thing you said you're gonna do. And consistency also makes you disciplined, as discipline is important when it comes to academic success. And this leads to my next tip, which is gonna be tip 2, and that is to create a schedule that works best for you. When it comes to creating a schedule, you can find tens and hundreds of schedules online, if that's going to be a PDF, if that's going to be an Excel sheet. And most of the time, these schedules differ because each person's definition of success is different. And so it's important for you to know what success is for you and to know how you're going to schedule yourself to obtain that success. So for instance, if you're the type of person that likes to wake up early in the morning and you say, you know what, I'm going to make sure that I have that 2 hours of undistracted time to really focus and study on my math and my English and my science subjects, that could be your schedule. For another person, it could be in the afternoon, right after school. You find that you have a good 2-3 hours to really work before you have to do some house chores or other activities in the day. That works for you. So create a schedule and stick to what works best for you. Tip number 3 is going to be find additional resources that can help you succeed when it comes to studying. It can be either having a tutor, finding resources online, maybe you're able to meet up with friends and study together, you have an older sibling or a parent that is very knowledgeable in a particular subject, etc. So again, go out of your comfort zone and find additional things that can help you succeed. Everybody has the typical things you have in school. Everybody has a textbook. Everybody has access to the professor. But not everyone will go the extra mile to really understand the principle. If you're finding something difficult in a subject, maybe ask yourself, if I understood the theory behind this, I could find it easier. That is where you can get inspired to do your own research and you learn something new at the same time. Tip number 4. Make sure to speak freely and go to your professors and teachers every time you need help. Either way, you pay for it. Going to your professors, honestly, is not a burden. They are there for you. They're there to help you. So if you think you're doing your professor a disfavor by going to them, I'm sorry, you're doing yourself a disfavor by not going to them. You technically pay for their salary. So there's nothing wrong in you asking them 1 or 2 questions after class or during their office hours or at the end of the day when you know you're still struggling with something. Most of the time, these professors like to build relationship with students, and to know that you're a student that actually cares enough to walk up to them and say, hey, I really didn't understand this in class. I was paying attention, but it was slightly confusing to me. I went back home, I read through my notes, and I tried to find some things online, but it was still not helping. Could you please explain that to me? I highly doubt professors would reject answering that, because at the end of the day, they would see that you, first of all, read through your notes, you tried to do the assignment of the coursework, you went a step further to even do some research, but it was still not helpful. Tip number 5 is going to be to set goals in each of their classes and make sure that they are realistic. Work towards it. If they're not realistic, that is where you can tweak and adjust your goals. And these goals normally are going to be quantifiable. And when I say quantifiable, I mean either a letter grade or a number grade. So I'll give you a really good example. When I was in my first semester at university, I was taking 4 courses, 2 math courses and 2 econ courses. And so I told myself I wanted to set goals and try to work towards it. And I set a pretty realistic goal. Now, as the semester was going along, I realized that in some of these courses I could get higher grades. So I adjusted my goals from that perspective, and I was still able to supersede it. So I think I'd recommend to you guys to set goals in your subjects based on your current performance. And as you go along, because you're trying your level best to crash those goals, you end up most of the time superseding those goals. And this is what worked for me. Goal number 6, prioritize your energy on subjects that need help the most. Keep track of your performance in these courses. So what does that mean is that you need to put additional energy and time to that specific course. If, let's say, on average, you spend about 45 minutes studying for a course by yourself at home, spend an hour and 15 minutes. You're devoting the extra time to that class that needs that energy. Let's say you're really good in math, but not so great in English. You can reduce the 45 minutes that you had standardized for all your subjects to 30 minutes for the math course and shift that additional 15 minutes to the English course. When you do things like this, you're actually reprioritizing what subjects need more attention. And that is actually what balance is. Balance doesn't mean for you to have everything in equal quantity. It means when you know that something requires more energy, more effort, and more time, you attribute it to it. And my final tip is going to be tip number 7, learn delayed gratification. And this means when you are able to reward yourself for something that you did, for the hard work that you did at a later time. And that can be in different forms. It could be that you tell yourself, you know what? After I finish this semester, after I finish this term, and I get XYZ in my grades for these courses, I'm gonna get myself a really nice bag. I'll buy that shoe I really wanted. I'm gonna go for a manicure. I'm going to go and have lunch with my friends, etc. It can be something that you know that you would truly value as like a reward for yourself, almost like a pat on the shoulder. But when you start to apply these principles, you look forward to that gift or that thing that you're anticipating after all the hard work that you applied for your subject. I went through high school and I know how high school can be, but I hope that today with these 7 tips I presented to you, you can take some away that you believe would be useful for you and apply it to your everyday life to have academic success. It's very important to know as teenagers that success is different per person. What does success mean to you? How do you define success? For someone else, success could be A, B, C, but to you, it could be X, Y, Z. So if you keep on comparing yourself with the other person, you would feel like you're unsuccessful. You would feel like you're less than what you're actually worth. As teenagers, we need to be mindful that our grades, what we perform in school, is not our identity. Yes, we do work hard to get good grades. We do work hard to get outstanding results, to get achievements. All the things are good and they're very desirable. But when you start putting that as your identity, that that's the only thing you think that gives you worth, that's where an issue comes. That's where we see a real problem in the identity of a youth. And in this case, as a Christian, you already have your identity in Christ. You are chosen, you're redeemed, you're saved, you're loved, you're precious in His sight. Keep on remembering that as your identity. And with that identity, we continue to pursue godly things. We continue to pursue excellence in everything we do. We continue to do everything like we're doing it unto the Lord. So keep on thinking about that as you begin the new academic year. Where is my identity found? What does academic success mean to me? What does that mean as a Christian? And how can I ensure that I can be academically successful and yet still serve the living God? So I'm wishing you guys a wonderful academic year ahead, and stay tuned for part 2, because in part 2 we're going to look at specific Bible verses and prayers to begin the academic year.